Hello everyone, my name is Matt Smith and I'm coming to you from Willard Middle School where I teach U.S. history. I thought this would be an appropriate location to talk to you about the lost cause in education. I looked at 3 articles on this subject looking at how the lost cause was spread in schools. The first article I'm going to tell you about is about the Virginia textbook controversy in the 1950s and 60s. The second article is going to be about catechisms that were published by the United Daughters of the Confederacy. And then the third article is going to look into a Louisiana essay contest. First of all, a few tenets of the lost cause. There's no exhaustive list, but these are some of the common tenets that I found throughout these sources. First of all, secession was a logical and justified course of action for Southern states. Second, the Confederacy was overwhelmed, not defeated. Third, slavery was a benevolent institution with loyal slaves. And then fourth, Reconstruction was a period of Northern interference in Southern affairs. The first article with the Virginia textbook controversy has a quote in the title, "Who controls the past controls the future." That's a quote by George Orwell. Over here on the left-hand side of the screen is a picture of a 4th grade Virginia textbook that would have promoted some of these lost cause tenets. And the author talks about the desegregation occurring in the nation in the late 1940s and early 1950s. In response to this, there's an effort by a Virginia textbook committee to promote lost cause ideology through the textbooks that are going to be implemented beginning in 1957. These textbooks are going to be in circulation in Virginia and placed in Virginia schools all the way through the 1970s when they will eventually be phased out. And so the author concludes that a lot of these lost cause tenets were promoted in public schools through the use of textbooks. Second source is about catechisms that were developed by the United Daughters of the Confederacy. It was very interesting reading about these catechisms and the chapter meetings where the COC, the Children of the Confederacy, would come and they would be drilled on the questions and topics of the catechism. Students would be asked a question, they would respond without looking. If they responded correctly, they would get more points than if they looked in the actual catechism. And the United Daughters of the Confederacy are going to use some certain methods to promote these ideals, and the author simplifies this by just listing these methods: oversimplification, refutation, forgetting, and amplification of certain principles. So the author of this article concludes that the catechisms kept preferred memories alive and advanced the lost cause to the next generation, and catechisms were the most significant contribution to the South and to the children of the Confederacy. Over here on the left-hand side, you can see an excerpt from a 1904 catechism. You can see some of the questions that were asked to these children and the preferred responses. My final source is titled "Lost Cause Motherhood, Southern Women Writers." And it centers around an essay contest from 1911 in Louisiana. This essay contest was for 7th and 8th grade students, and their topic was to highlight the accomplishments of 5 Civil War generals from Louisiana. Now this one had some different conclusions, which I found interesting. But first of all, state pride was the most identifiable theme throughout all these essays. Second of all, there is support of lost cause orthodoxy in terms of Civil War causes, in terms of secession being justified, the North being the aggressor and such. But there is a departure from the lost cause, as blame was often put on these Confederate generals, especially Braxton Bragg. So that was a common theme through these essays. And there's a denial of the romanticism of war, which is another diversion from the lost cause. Here is a list of my 3 sources. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video.